The one thing that Americans of all political ideologies will agree on tonight is that it has been a very long and very contentious election season, and there has been no shortage of war rhetoric used to describe the 2012 elections. But if elections are like war, then there is no denying that the first casualty of war is the truth. And as we wait to find out who will win the battle for the White House in 2012, we're taking a look at the role that the facts have played in this election cycle. We're joined by a man who's had the thankless job of fact-checking these elections for the Washington Post, Kessler. He is a veteran foreign affairs correspondent who now writes the popular Fact Checker column at the Washington Post, where he examines the truth behind political rhetoric. Glenn, welcome to the heat. Well, how bad has it been this time around, would you say?
Well, I think for the candidates themselves, they're basically within the confines of elections in the past. But what has made this particular election seem so nasty and so brutish is the introduction of super PACs, who have spent, I've seen an estimate of nearly $1 billion, and those ads, they don't end with something where it says, I'm Barack Obama and I approve this. So they can say whatever they want, and I have found that repeatedly they stretch the truth. And
so if you stack them up, you're going to get some stretching of the truth from Obama, some stretching of the truth from Romney, but when it comes to the super PACs, all bets are off, basically?
That's right. That's right. Those are the ads that Americans should mute as soon as they come on.
So let me ask you about that. How has this affected, you think, this election in terms of a general turnoff for voters?
Well, I think, well, you know, first of all, for a large part of the United States, there is no presidential election. There are no ads airing in California or New York or Texas or any state where it's pretty clear who's going to win that state. But if you're someone that lives in Ohio or Virginia or some other battleground state like that, I think it would just drive you nuts because it's an endless series of advertisements.
What about accountability? Is there, you're there, but not everybody's reading the newspaper these days.
Right. Well, you know, I think, I don't write to change political behavior. I write to inform voters. I mean, ultimately, if voters decide that they're going to reward or punish a politician for saying the truth, then politicians will change their behavior. But otherwise, the best thing I can do is just inform voters.
You don't write to change the policies of the politicians, but you've seen instances where actually you do say, hey, this is wrong, and suddenly it's dropped from a speech, huh?
Right, yes, this has happened by both campaigns. I mean, there was a recent example involving Barack Obama where he talked about how Mitt Romney had shipped jobs to China when he was a businessman. So I went and looked at every single example and found that there was no example of where any of those investments had resulted in the shipment of jobs to China. So I wrote that you could say he invested in China, but you couldn't say he shipped jobs to China. And the very next day, the president in his stump speech changed the language to this man, he invested in China.
You're also a speechwriter, inadvertently, I would say. Where does freedom of the speech cross a line, though, where it becomes irresponsible in a sense?
Freedom of speech, you know, is a uniquely American concept, and people from other countries sometimes have difficulty understanding that. But just like we can't say, you know, we can't prevent someone from making a video that defames the Prophet Muhammad, we can't really say, well, here's where someone is crossing the line in terms of the facts. And politicians are salesmen. They're going to try to sell their product whatever way they want, and it's up to the voter to decide whether or not they're going to buy those goods.
Well, Kessler is a very busy man, but we're going to ask him to stick around because when we come back, he's going to help us separate fact from fiction in some of the major claims made by both campaigns in the 2012 presidential election.